30 seconds to try a shot and try to win the game.
This is the Notebook Wagering Show on the Wild Style Network. Here are your hosts, Q, Smitty, Matt, and JKam.
Wednesday night edition. We are live, Salisbury Center, fueled by Monster Energy. I'm Smitty. I'm in studio. We got the guys up in Pittsburgh. Let's just dive into it, guys, really quick. Man, we were just talking a couple seconds ago, talking Cy Young. So let's dive into Major League Baseball talk. We got 3 games tonight that we can try to help some people out. And if you're watching live tonight and you have a question, let us know. If you have an opinion on a team or a Cy Young or anything, World Series ticket, let us know and we'll answer it the best we can here tonight, guys. I know I have one of these games tonight. So I'll give you why I like this game if you guys like any of these other games, and maybe we can get some winners for everybody here tonight. First game tonight at 8:10, you got the Cubs, White Sox, Stroman against Lynn. I'm on the Cubs tonight, guys. I like this. You know, Lance Lynn, 6-9, 6.18 ERA. And man, everybody wants him. Did you hear all the trade talks today about Lance Lynn?
Yes, it did. And I don't think there's a lot out there. So that's part of why. He's got a proven track record. You know, I mean, the numbers this year haven't been great. They're getting better. Each time I look at it on my little model, which usually is like the last month of starts, it's progressively gotten better. So you're still getting the quality veteran arm. But yeah, you can tell it's a seller's market whenever Lance Lynn's going for a high price. What do you think, Matty?
I'm up on you guys. I'm on the White Sox. Lynn struck out, I believe, 3 straight, 10-plus guys maybe. Don't hold me to that. The problem is he gives up about 2.5 home runs a game, which is a backbreaker for him. I don't know what the weather's like. I assume it's probably scorching out there. So the 9, I think I just saw an 8.5 pop up for the over-under, which is crazy. So I think if you grabbed a 9 for the under, that was the right play, and that looks like to have moved. But yeah, I'm on the White Sox. I'm going to be rooting against you guys, plus even money. So it's a
Cubbies are hot. Cubbies are hot. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, Stroman.
Go ahead, Jace. You like Stroman?
Stroman's been good with the fastball and the sliders. White Sox don't hit the fastball and the sliders, so that's why I'm on the Cubbies here. They've won 4 straight. I'm going to ride them while they're hot.
I mean, you look at it, it opened, I'm looking at scores and odds right here. It opened minus 132. It's down to 110. I can't remember. I think I got it at minus 115 this morning here. You know, here's the thing about Lynn. Lynn's 2-4, 6.11 ERA at home. Last 2 starts, both on the road. He's given up combined 6 home runs. The guy gives up a lot of home runs. Now, Stroman, you look at him, and his name is in a lot of the trade talks, too. And I think the Cubbies, here in a couple minutes, we'll talk about some trade talk information. I mean, this is the guy right here that I think could get moved. This Cubs team's tricky, because if you look at the wild card, they're only 5 games out. Could they make a move? I mean, they're not far out of it. I don't know. I mean, Stroman's been a little shaky the last couple starts if you look at his numbers, but looking at, he's 4-2, 3.11 ERA on the road. I don't really like the line movement in this, but I had to take the Cubbies tonight. So 2 of us like the Cubbies. Matty going with the White Sox tonight.
Lovely 89 degrees there in the former cell, the guaranteed rate field down on the south side, where I don't think there is any wind, but if there is any wind, it's a little bit blowing out. So that definitely doesn't favor Lynn, who likes to give up the gopher balls, like you said.
So Matty might be on there with that over tonight. That might be a good call. All right, let's bounce to another quick game here at 8:10 also tonight if you want to jump on this one. This one's a big one here. You got the Rangers-Astros. This is a battle for first place, man. The Astros have taken the first 2 out of the series. I was on the Astros last night. I think it's Andrew Henney against Valdez. Anybody on this game tonight? I was a little shocked. I'm going to say something. I was a little surprised on the higher number. I mean, minus 196 at scores and odds right now. Is that what you guys are saying? I mean, is there a better number?
I actually am on this game. I took the Stros. I got minus 170, which is still a little higher than going against Heaney, but
that's not bad.
He hasn't been all that great the last month, so I'm going to fade him, and Valdez has been pretty good. This Astros team's kind of got through the bad times. So I think they're starting to pick it up. What do you think, Matt?
Yep. I too am on the Astros. I got a minus 175 at the gym, so about an hour and a half ago. The Rangers really struggle against lefties, and Valdez at home is averaging, giving up 2 runs a game. So, I mean, the prop bet on Rivers was over under 2.5 on him, and I believe it was minus 120. I didn't touch it, but I think the Astros is the right play, even though I don't like the bigger number like you, but that's not too awful. I'm not too hateful at 175.
I don't think that's a bad price, guys. Personally, I think that's a great price. Like Matty just said, Valdez 3-4, 2.13 ERA at home. So I mean, really good. The Astros are 6-1 last 7. Texas is 1-4 last 5. So
and they really struggle against lefty Smitty, and they're kind of banged up. They're just kind of they're like the Rays right now. They're treading water. They're battling. They're not out of it by any means, and they're still a really good ball club. But I think they're just in a rut, little summer swoon here.
Okay, well, go ahead, Jason. I'm sorry.
No, it's exactly. Yeah, I think the Rays and Rangers are in the same exact boat. They started off so well, and you got youngish teams, and the hot weather's got here, and they're kind of just fading a little. They just kind of need to kind of touch bottom and try to get back ready here in the last month to get themselves in position for the playoffs. They're probably both in, so I don't think they sweat it too much, but definitely not playing their best baseball.
Well, Texas, I want to come back to in a couple minutes here with you guys because I really want to ask a couple things about some trade talks here because the deadline is Tuesday, I believe, and that is the last time that you can trade in the year until the season's done. So I want to hear Texas is a team, and I have just an idea I want to throw out to you guys here. So let's just finish it. Then we have a 9:45 game tonight. You got Oakland playing San Francisco. Hogan Harris. That's a great name. I had to look that name up today. Hogan Harris goes for Oakland tonight, 2-4, 6.11 ERA. Ryan Walker he is an opener, and I think Alex Wood is coming in after that for the Giants. Now, here's a great line because again, Oakland's really, really bad. Greg Peterson, our friend Greg Peterson, that's been on the show many, many times, tweeted this out. I think it was 2 days ago. Oakland is 27-14 run line in their last 41. If you were taking Oakland with the run line, the last 2 games they're 2-0. I looked it up. They lose like 2. It was like 2-1. It was very low scoring games here. Any thoughts on this? Because let me see. Because I'm going to let you guys just throw the numbers out. Scores and odds seems a little high, so I'm going to let you guys. What is the line in this Giants game tonight?
It's up to minus 250 because you have dual openers now. Because Freddie Tarnock's going to be the opener for Oakland, and he'll be followed by Hogan Harris.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
Who may be a pro wrestler from the South.
Mid-South Wrestling. Hogan Harris.
Hogan Harris. He's like those early Carter guys who kind of builds up the good guy. Yeah.
I like that.
You got dual openers, so you got 2 righties going, and like you said, you'll have Wood and you'll have Hogan Harris following that. Giants bats are fairly cool, so taking the A's plus 1.5 is not the worst idea ever. And they definitely hit the righties, like they're hitting pretty much a 30% below average, so not really great. But like I said, cool air in the Bay. You can definitely see a low run scoring environment. So plus 1.5 definitely plays a little more.
Matty, any idea on this game? You're going to play it tonight, 9:45.
Yeah. So people who don't really pay attention to baseball and standings in general, the Giants are in second place in the NL West. They're ahead of the D-backs, who are scuffling. We can throw the D-backs in with the Rays and the Rangers right now. I actually think I'm going to look bigger picture. If I were to bet that game specifically tonight, I would actually put the Giants into a parlay with the White Sox and the Astros tonight, make it a 3-teamer, and you can probably get a decent plus money.
That'd be good money, yeah.
But I'm going to look bigger picture though. See what you can find on the Giants to win the NL West, because I think they are a team that's going to go get somebody. I don't know who. Lance Lynn would actually be a terrific fit there in a kind of a pitcher's park. They do definitely need that. They're going to get a guy who's been a key cog for them. Tyra Estrada's coming back soon, and he was absolutely killing the ball. I think they tread water and just keep winning out here, and I think they actually have a shot to win the NL West. It might be crazy of me, but the Dodgers already seem to be worried, and they've already hammered a trade out today. So,
yeah, you get a plus 800 at the book I'm looking at right now. So that's a nice little price, especially this late in the season.
They're four games out. Dodgers lost today. And, we'll talk about the Dodgers here in a second with some trades. Because, again, I'm the pitching, I don't know. Real quick, that Hogan Harris, doesn't he just sound like Barry O? Wouldn't that be a great tag team? Barry O.
He's definitely a guy who
Hogan Harris.
Whenever he gets his name called.
I had to throw that out because you guys are both wrestling fans from the back in the day and everything. So I'm probably going to stay off that game. I had the Cubs tonight. If I would give any action out on that, the Astros came back. Their second baseman and first baseman, I think, got reinstated today. So that's the thing. So, okay, let's take this right into the trade talk. Trade talk's Tuesday. And, I love the trade talk. Pirates are usually sellers, and you just try to look for prospects and everything like that. So I would have jumped first. I got a couple things. And let me I'll bounce it off you guys really quick with some ideas here. I'm going to go first to Matty. Because Matty's a big Phillies fan, and the Phillies are playing really good baseball. They're in a game tonight with Baltimore, just a great series. But both teams are really good. Phillies came in, I think, 54 and 47. They're 11 games out. They're not going to win the division, people, but they're coming right there in the wild card. They are, I think, a half a game out of the wild card. And in my beliefs, they're going to get in the wild card. They're going to be a playoff team. Matty, just as a Philly fan, if you were the GM, what are you doing on Tuesday or before Tuesday?
I'm going big. They need one more starter, and they need a good starter. Not I don't want to call him marginal. I don't want Lynn, and I don't want Stroman in that bandbox. I think they need to press the Mets, who probably are going to be relentless to give up Scherzer. But the problem with the Phillies is, even more so than the actual starter that they need a corner infielder. They need a first baseman. And Goldschmidt is the likely play, which is a huge splash. But they do have a good farm system. Not great, but good. They have to get Schwarber out of the outfield. They have to get him in just a DH role. He has a good OPS, and he's doing what they need. He's getting on base, but he's hitting 182. Your leadoff guy cannot hit 182. And that's a huge key. I think they should actually hit Bryson Stott in the leadoff, get him more plate appearances. He's a grinder, and he does get on base. But, yeah, they're going to make moves, Smitty. I hope they're big moves. I don't foresee it, though. I actually think this is going to be a boring trade deadline. I think it's going to be just marginal guys going all over the place. And we'll bring up a name, I'm sure, here in a little bit, but I'll let Jason chime in.
Well, the Phillies on MLB trade rumors, Teoscar Hernandez and Ramon Laureano are two guys that they're mentioned there. That fits exactly with what you said, though, where you get a right fielder or you put a Schwarber in the DH hole and you kind of fix two things at once.
Yeah.
And those guys Hernandez could, but Laureano could actually probably hit the top of the order. Not well, and he hits lefties well, which apparently they've struggled with this year, which is crazy given the composition of their lineup. But, yeah, I don't know. I mean, we could definitely interest you in some guys from the Pirates here. You can play a little first base, maybe a little Connor Joe. Can I interest you in Connor Joe?
Good bench, Pat. Good bench, Pat.
Connor Joe just fits in with the guys we just brought up from the Mid-South wrestling thing. That's definitely a wrestler.
He looks like an AEW mid-carder. I've said that all year. Like a modern guy, though.
Well, let me
He's going to be paired up with Iron Mike Sharp.
Oh, man. No. A trade just went down. Rosario, the shortstop from Cleveland, just went to the Dodgers. Syndergaard just went to Cleveland.
They're going to cut him.
And then the Dodgers have been active because didn't they just bring, isn't it Kiki Hernandez just came back? Yeah, he just came back yesterday. And they sent a couple arms here. Okay, so I'll jump this to Jason here with the Dodgers because the Dodgers have the money. They usually have the prospects. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm not jumping on right now. I mean, maybe in a day or so, I'll jump on their top 30 prospects and start looking at people. And their arms are a little iffy, Jason. You look. I mean, some of these guys are young guys and they throw hard. They have some of their prospects up and everything. What do you think because like Matty's on the Giants. Arizona's there. I think Arizona's going to make a splash here. These teams are going to go. San Diego, I want to bring up here too. What do you think the Dodgers do? They got Hernandez. They got this shortstop. I think they need arms. I mean, do you think they're going to go and try to get an arm here? Now, Lance Lynn, real quick, Lance Lynn today I read was to Tampa, and then I saw later a rumor to the Dodgers.
Yeah, I got to see the Dodgers get in here. I mean, this is their current rotation as we speak. Urias, Gonsolin, Bobby Miller is a rookie, like you mentioned. Emmett Sheehan, who I believe is also a rookie, and Michael Grove. Now, those guys are the 3 rookies in your top 5 rotation will not get you a World Series. So they need to make a little experience there and expand their pitching depth. The bullpen's really good. So, I mean, they can obviously get through the late innings, but they need some guys for the first 5 or so. So they have to make that move. That's why I was trying to look at their prospects. Any of those guys could go the other way in a trade, right? You're going to trade some youth for experience. I mean, Lance Lynn in a big ballpark like that's definitely going to play pretty well with his homer issues. Stroman's the same way. Those are 2 similar pitchers. I mean, they don't look the same, but they kind of pitch the same. But either of those guys would be an improvement just because they've been there and done that. I don't think talent-wise they are, but they're kind of more ready now. But you look at that lineup, they're obviously trying to address left-handed pitching with acquiring Hernandez, who kills lefties. And also he's a guy who plays everywhere, and he's a good clubhouse guy. Everybody knows him. So they definitely, though, have to get a starter. At least 1, if not 2. I don't know who's out there, though. I mean, who are we really thinking is available at this time? Giolito
out of Chicago. I just saw earlier the teams are calling about Dylan Cease, but Chicago's saying absolutely not. They said we're not it's not a rebuild. We're going to compete next year. But, man, does the White Sox ever compete?
No.
I mean,
when you look at that team, do you think, they're just a step away or they're going to figure it out? I mean, how many years has this been going on now? Like, you need to tear it down.
I mean, and this a division that we've talked about all summer, spring into summer. It's there. Twins now, Twins came in. Twins lost today. They were 7-3 in their last 10. So now it seems like they're going a little bit. I threw a little ticket on Cleveland to win that division just because it was getting close right by the All-Star break and had a pretty good number at it. But the White Sox, I don't know. And if somebody comes in and says, we'll give you this and this and this for Dylan Cease, you wouldn't take it?
So their starting rotation for the White Sox is Dylan Cease, Lucas Giolito, Mike Clevenger, Michael Kopech, and Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn's their 5th starter. Like, how are they this bad? Like, the lineup's not bad. Like, it never meshed there. So I don't understand how you don't blow it up, because you need to go find a way for everyone to get on the same page and win games. La Russa's damage may be hanging around longer than we thought. Matty, what do you think?
Jason made the statement that I want to key on. Who's actually out there? Like, who's sellers? The problem is if you look at the standings, and you would actually like to think like a GM of the White Sox has to say, hey, we're sellers. The Royals, obviously sellers. But in the American League East, no one's a seller. Everybody's 5 games over 500. They're not selling. The AL West, 4 out of the 5 over 500. They're not selling. So at least the A's, the Royals, and maybe the White Sox in the American League. Then if you go to the National League, it's really only the Nats. The Mets probably don't think they're out of it yet, even though they're morons.
Mets are 7 games out of first, coming in to the wild card. I think they're losing tonight.
Yeah.
I would count the Mets selling, because their owner's been pretty straightforward about this. So, like I said, and there's a lot of money they can move easily. Those guys are named guys, so they can free it. They'll respend it next year.
That's the team I think. That's the team I think that's going to hold all the cards.
Mm-hmm.
If you see Scherzer go, or another big name, I think it's going to be the Mets who do it. So,
or even like Jose Quintana, if somebody who doesn't want to spend a lot. I mean, they didn't get anything out of him. He'll have his second start tonight against the Yankees right now, but he's shown he was the Cardinals' best pitcher in the playoffs last year.
Yeah. So they had a guy. They had a guy on VSiN today, and they talked about the Mets, and they said Verlander could be Scherzer. No way. They said this guy go. And I apologize. I was doing stuff this morning and I didn't write it down who the guest was, but they said Verlander, do not be shocked if the Astros go hard at him and try to bring him back.
That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Now, okay, so here's the team. Let me bounce really quick. I'd love to hear both. So I'm going to throw the Pirates out. and I'm not trying to do it because that's my team and Jason has the hat on and that's his team, but David Bednar is one that his name got brought up. And, a lot of Pittsburgh people are not going to be happy because, he is a very good closer, got the save today in a tight situation. He's under contract, I think, until 2027, I think it is. So, it's a lot of, and he's one of the best. He's one of the best closers in baseball. Was an all-star. I think he gave up his first run today on the road all season. But Texas bullpen ERA, 4.77 ERA. It's not very good. Now, they made a move about a month ago. Maybe it's not a month. Jason saying, okay, so I'm going to go a month with Chapman. Well, he didn't do very good the other night. Chapman has Chapman's getting up there. Little Wylde. Could you do a left righty? Could this be it?
Yeah.
Could Texas? And as a Pirate fan, I'll go to Jason first with this, and then Matty always gives his 2 cents about the Pirates living up in that area and hearing a lot, and then I'll give my 2 cents on this. If they come in with a blockbuster, do you do it, Jason?
Yeah, it's a closer.
Thank you.
Okay.
Good answer.
The problem is they've marketed him so much that they've created their own issue. Like, his bobblehead is literally the day before the trade deadline.
I was going to say bobblehead night's coming up.
What in the blue are they thinking? Like, have that thing a month ago. So we celebrated David Bednar is a local kid. Like I said, they've made their own bad PR, which is tremendous. Got to give them a lot of credit there. But in reality, he's a closer. They've had a lot of bad drafts. Like, that's the one thing you're talking about. Their farm system now is extremely top heavy because we realize a lot of the things that are underneath it are pretty much terrible. All the trades they made that were at the right time, the right idea to trade Musgrove and Tyon, all those things, they haven't panned out. Like, there's nobody from those trades that's really producing for them except Sawinski, who went for like Adam Frazier. So you gotta get talent in this team. I think they've done decent with this last draft. Well, the last draft's actually getting panned. The one before that I thought was actually pretty good. But yeah, you just need to get guys. Like, they're no closer than they were to start the list this year.
Fangraphs just came out today and said they have the best minor league system in baseball.
Because I don't agree with it. There's a lot of talented guys, but they're not getting any better. You can kind of see it with the two guys that are up here. Like, Davis is a legitimate. Those tools are real. That's a good ball player. He's learning on the fly here. Why is that? He was a really good college player. It should not take 3 years to get him to the pros as a right fielder, no less.
Yep, I agree.
Nick Gonzalez. When you see Nick Gonzalez play, you see how fast he is. You see the bat speed. You see, like, what the heck was he just scuffling down there in Indy for? Like, what is going on with their farm? So they've got talent down there, but they're not developing any of it, and it's frustrating.
Okay, Matty, go real quick, and then I'll chime in here. Same question. Would you do Bednar to Texas? And does it make sense? Let me say, does it make sense or do you think Texas doesn't have to be Bednar? Maybe I should have, just for any arm in the bullpen for Texas.
No, I actually think this is where the Dodgers come into play. So the Dodgers have had great closers recently, and they have no closer right now.
That's true.
Texas actually has Chapman, Will Smith, and Jose Leclerc, who actually closed in prior years as well. I know Jason just snickered, but he at least has the makeup to actually go in the late innings.
Completely agree.
Yeah. But the Dodgers bullpen is brutally bad right now. They have nobody to rely on. That is their biggest weakness. Like they're still going to hit the ball and they're still going to score and they're going to get arms back for pitching. Kershaw will be back. So I think if the Dodgers were to offer you their best prospect or even second or third best prospect for Bednar, you pound the button like the commercials. Just fire away.
Dodgers bullpen's good. There's no closer there. There's a lot of good arms, but if you kind of put one in there, everybody snaps into place where they should be.
Yeah.
So,
and I got one more quick question here, but I'll chime in here too. And as for Pirate fans getting all pissy, I agree with Jason and Matt. If there's a great deal, Garvey.
Smitty, let me ask you to counter though. Do you trust this front office to make that deal?
No.
That's what I mean. That's like the double-edged sword of it.
It's iffy. I agree with a lot. I think they're doing some good things, but it just seems like there's always a curse or anything. But for a closer, and here's my point. Garvey said this years ago, when you're in like last place, you don't need a closer. Everybody throws about 100 now. You'll find somebody. So if someone's going to really overpay, you do it. You do it. Sorry. I would do it in a second. And again, Mitch Keller, and people are all mad because there's another name and they're like, oh, what are you doing? All-star, and he's under. Okay, listen, he is good. He's battled back. His last couple starts haven't been great. Some team comes in and really overpays for somebody. You got to do it. And, it is what it is. And I know Pirate fans, you're frustrated. And every year we do this, and trust me, I get bashed all the time by people, especially on this show with Matty, and I have to take it because they do mess up. So it is what it is. So
they're not a player away. They're not even like 5 players away.
They got to keep at it, man. You got to keep at it.
Listen, if no one is selling pitching and you have a pitcher that people want, sell the pitcher. I mean, he has no loyalty to his team. He basically built himself up. He was a lost prospect, and he went to Driveline and got his mechanics right, got his velocity up, and kind of changed his approach to pitching.
Absolutely.
And the Pirates kind of agreed to it afterward. He built himself. So
he did. Absolutely. Great point. Great point.
He will definitely be more than happy to go somewhere to win some games for people. And he's been a battler all year. The other day when he got shelled against the Indians, I think, and he went out there and gave him 6 innings because they needed 6 innings, that just shows you that's a quality guy. Yeah. Like, starters hate doing that. And he knew what he was doing. He knew his stats were going to get beat up, but he still went out there because they had no one to pitch. No one was ready for them. So I give him a lot of credit for that. And that's going to be a valuable ad for anybody. But, I mean, if he can get you 3 good prospects, you have to do that deal. Like I said, this 4-year plan is stuck. And they need to keep getting guys because they're not ready.
And the nice thing is, I like watching them because they're playing with the younger guys now. I love the younger guys. They're playing guys 21, 22, 23 years old. You drafted Paul Skeens. Again, the best player in that draft they went and got. So I'm excited. I agree with you. If you can get some more pieces, man, add on. All right, really quick. Last team I just want to bounce. And if you guys want to add anything with the trade, because I do, again, I love the trade deadline. That's an all day. You get up and just sit on the couch and refresh your phone and have TV on and just see what's going on. A local team here, Baltimore. This is a team that's in first place, playing really well. They're losing to the Phillies right now. They have just a loaded minor league system. Is it Jackson? I'm losing his first name. Jackson Holiday, Matt Holiday's kid that was drafted number 1 last year. I think he's 19 years old. He's up in Double-A already here, just crushing the ball already. I mean, the guy's going to be he's going to be in the major leagues probably by next year. Very good chance if the process continues. Is this a team, because they have not been a winning team, if you're the GM, and I'll start with Matty here, do you go, I'll put all the chips on the table, man, and say, let's just go and get that superstar or 2 people or maybe the average player just to go try to win it this year? What's your thoughts on the Baltimore Orioles?
This is the team right now. After the flip with the Rays, they have all the moxie, everything going their way. They actually have like a fan base that's excited. Other people, even us, myself, I'm actually excited to watch this team. They do have the best farm system right now. Colton Cowser, DL Hall, Gunnar Henderson, Jackson Holiday, other guys. I wish when we did the show 2 weeks ago, this was my pick to potentially go get Ohtani. It's kind of asinine for me to say it, but I think they're the only team in the AL who can go get Ohtani right now, and then I think it's the Braves in the NL to go get Ohtani, and that makes the biggest splash. I don't know if the Orioles will do it because they've built this right. They've done everything correct, and they're playing so good, but they have to make one move. They need a starter in there, somebody who's a playoff battle kind of guy who can go out and help these young guys along and tell them what they're about ready to get ready for.
Yeah, I don't agree with going after Ohtani because, like you said, they've built the farm system up. And the best thing about them is that these guys are cashing in. Like, they draft these guys in the first round. They come up and they play right away and contribute. It's amazing, like, how they've built that starting 9 out of first-round draft picks. But, yeah, you don't want to empty the system yet. But if you could get a youngish guy, like, somehow if they were in the mix for, like, Keller and Bednar, as a support role, because obviously Batista's been lights out as a closer, but I'm just saying that's the kind of guy I think you would go get, because you're going to get a couple years of control. If they could get someone with some control left and maybe give up one of those guys, the prospects who have maybe a little higher ceiling than the guy they're acquiring, I would do it. But that's about it. I mean, I'd just be careful. You don't want to really upset it. And everyone's going to be back next year, I think. And, you kind of got the starting pitching, though. You kind of need to address that in the offseason, because I don't think you're going to get the same season out of those guys next year, though.
And I took a picture of this on VSiN today, because there were some games that were crazy last night. Twins led 6-3 in the 8th and lost. I had the Dodgers last night. I went to bed. They were getting blown out. I woke up and that was a winner. Toronto led 7-3 in the 9th and lost. Baltimore led 3-2 in the 9th, 2 outs and lost. And the Rockies led 5-2 in the 8th and lost. Rockies again today. Good, because I had the Nationals last night, and I had the Nationals again today, and the Rockies blew that game. So again, man, these bullpens are just, we've said it all year, man. And that's why I think Bednar, could a team really go crazy? They could. They really could for him. So
I think if you look at Bednar, though, if I go back and Google, who did the Brewers get for Josh Hader? And I think that might be like the comp for what teams are going to offer for Bednar.
Yeah,
and I don't think
that's a good comparison. I was thinking about years ago, who's our guy that's in jail now? Velasquez? Was it Velasquez? Is that his last name?
That was his, yeah.
Okay, so he's in jail. We don't have to go into why he's in jail. But Dodgers were big on him. Too bad we didn't make that deal, because then it would have been the Dodgers issue. But they wanted some top. So, yeah, I mean, again, and Matty, you made a great point. These teams might hold. And sometimes it's crazy. Other times you're like, wow, that deadline was brutal. I think because I think in years past, you could always go in and you could still do some deals, like some different kind of deals, and get people on your team. And now it's like, nope, no more trades. This is it. So somebody could, but again, they might not. So we'll have to hold off. So we'll break it down next week. It should be exciting. Show next Wednesday. Trade deadline will be a day before, so we'll break it down. Hey, let's do this. Let's do no break tonight, man. We're firing. We want to talk golf. We want to go into a little football talk. The guys want to do some football talk here. I'm trying to keep this for about an hour show. Let's just recap really quick. British Open last week. What's your Jason, overall? Brian Harman just played fantastic. Overall thoughts of the British Open?
Yeah, I mean, everybody, they were trying to get that momentum going to get Rahm in there and Rory to get him, and he just never even wavered. He just played his game. You could see him, obviously, everyone made fun of the waggles, which were abundant. I mean, Sergio Garcia probably enjoyed it, but he just kind of just stayed in his game plan, and just it was really impressive how he kind of kept his cool and never really wavered the whole time. And I think he got enough accolades out of that. It's not like the British media was pretty harsh on him, because they didn't really appreciate his, Georgia culture there with the hunting and the fishing and the Georgia Bulldogs. But hey, that guy, he's a guy, when we do this thing, you're always on your top 4, Brian Harman, because he'll give you a solid effort. Some of the courses may be too long for him, especially in the U.S. Open. But he's always solid. And it's kind of nice to see him get rewarded. He's just one of those grinder guys who's always around, a good, solid player. And he kind of just had his week and took advantage.
And Matty in our golf drafted him in the 3rd round. So congratulations to our guy Matt here on the big win in the golf draft with Harman. So what'd you think, Matty?
That was great. Harman won me some cash. He was in my DFS lineup, the fantasy league. So it was. I enjoyed it. I thought the weather on Sunday was going to play a bigger role. And then it kind of, Mother Nature then backed off the gas a little bit and just made it wet. So it wasn't too bad. And he came out of the gate both Saturday and Sunday and looked like he was going to struggle. He had started +2. I was like, oh man, he's going to fade. And I cursed you guys out. I think it was Jason sent something. I was like, F you. I was like, man, don't reverse jinx this for me. But yeah, he truly grinds it out. The waggles, who cares? I guess he said a lot of people said to him on the course, British fans and folks said, you don't have the stones to win this. And he basically took it as a challenge, and he proved everybody wrong. I mean, he beat the number one player in the world by what, like 19 shots or something. So he actually surgically carved up that course when you look at it. Great job.
You were just looking for somebody to get on, because I was actually saying I was worried Cameron Young was going to tank him, because it seems like when we get to these majors, that whoever's in that last pairing who's not playing well doesn't play well. Like he circles the drain and usually brings the guy down. So I was worried Young when he started off was going to do that, but he actually played pretty well after that and kind of played right with him, which definitely helps a guy like Harmon.
You know what they said today on the numbers game with Gil and Kelly? I think it was 2017. I might be incorrect on the year, but it's gone back. The player that's been in the top 10 the most is Brian Harmon.
Really?
That's what they said on VSiN today.
Yeah, he's just one of the. He's a guy, right? He's nothing exceptional. There's nothing about his game is exceptional, but he's always, you know the name because he's always on. He's a board hitter. So,
I was really shocked. So I didn't do very well on my picks that I gave out. I was doing really well the last couple weeks. I was skunked out on that one. But no, Brian Harmon played fantastic. All right, here we go. We're going to fire some winners this week for everyone here. So we got the 3M Open at TPC Twin Cities. It's a par 71, 7,431 yards. It's an Arnold Palmer design. If you listen to a lot of these shows and everything, they say it looks like a Florida course. 27 bodies of water. All right, so past winners. Tony Finau, 2022, minus 17. Cameron Champ, minus 15. Michael Thompson, minus 19. And Matthew Wolf, minus 21. Hearing some things, the par 3, par 4s are not bad overall. I mean, again, this is not a star-studded event overall with major big names in here. There's a couple good ones here. I think, you got Finau, you got Matsuyama, Cameron Young, JT, and we'll talk about JT really fast here in a second. They did grow the rough out last year. Wind can be a problem here. It hasn't been, I think, last year really at all, but wind can be an issue here. Rain on Thursday. It looks right now okay the rest of the week here, or the weekend. Again, JT, I'm just want to jump to JT before we do some plays here, because we're getting to the end here, and you got to be, and you guys can correct me if I'm wrong on this, top 70 to make the playoffs. I think, and that's coming up.
75, maybe.
75? I thought it was 70. Okay.
Definitely that number range.
Okay, so we're in that range here. And you got some guys that are close here. JT is one that a lot of people said that he would have never played this, but he's right. I think he's like 75th. So he's right there. So he has to start playing well. I mean, does anybody take a flyer on JT to get to win this, okay, Jason, go for it. I love it.
I'm taking him to top 20 plus 120. Like you said, there's so much at stake here. It's not just you got the FedEx. You've got just like you basically have had an awful season, probably your worst season since on tour, since maybe your rookie year. And the Ryder Cup's now at stake too, where you're gonna have to make some funky decisions there with the end of that roster, and he's got to put himself out there to show he can play. I'd rather have him on the team playing well, but if he's not playing well, I don't want him there. So I think he's going to show up this week. This course suits him. He plays those Florida courses really well. So he's going to feel comfortable on this course. Like say, he hasn't played there much, but he plays really well in courses like it. So I'm going to take him. I think there's some decent value top 20 there. And we'll see if he shows up.
I like it.
No chance.
Okay, no chance.
I just written him off.
No way.
Cross him off then.
He is on the no-fly list.
Yeah, he looks lost. I don't know what it is. And I think this course actually is going to hurt him a little bit, because I think they've moved some tees around to make it harder for the bombers, and the water's going to come into play a lot more. So they're looking at more guys for basically, as they say, target golf. And it's basically a approach course and then scrambling around the green. And I mean, you sum up scrambling, Thomas is scrambling, and not in a good way. I would keep fading him. I would not have him on any kind of card.
He didn't make my card, but man, it was close. I wanted to throw him in there in something, because you could get a really good number here. So I do have my card. I mean, I'll throw some names out. Are you guys set? You guys have a good feel for this? Okay, Jason, let's start with you this week, man. Where are we going? What's some names let's throw it out to some people here, try to win some money.
Well, guys, we don't talk about a whole lot here. I know you mentioned that list. Obviously, Tony Finau, well known, but the rest of the list not as much. Cam Champion, we see him at the Masters every year somehow. Besides that, we don't see him for the rest of the year. We got a guy named Eric Cole, who is a kind of a horse for the course guy. Plays the Florida courses pretty well. Has some pretty good numbers on what's called Ron Kloss's Twitter site. Looking through his shots gained in this type of course, like a heavy water course. So I got him from a top 20 for plus 200. Doug Gim. Guy won a US Amateur a couple of years ago. Didn't play real well beginning of this year. He's come on later. The flat stick's starting to play for him. So I'm going to take him as a top 20 plus 275. And then Carson Young. Not Cam Young. Carson Young. I got him for top 40 and top 20 at plus 200 and plus 600. Another guy, horse for the course, plays well on these Florida water-filled courses. So that's my 5 bets because, like I said, JT, I got him for a top 20. I think he circles the wagons. I think at least he gets himself into the playoffs. He gets himself in the Ryder Cup. Matt, do you have your feel?
I do. I'm just pulling up the odds right now. So here's my lineup, and I'm actually going to put these guys in for probably to win too. So I really like Adam Hadwin, plus 3,500 to win. JT Poston, plus 5,000 to win. Sung Jae Im is my, I'm going to say my horse for the course, plus 1,600. I'm not high on him. And then I have 4 flyers. I'm actually going to cut it to 3 flyers because Brant Snedeker is always on my no-fly list, so I'm going to cross them off then too. But 3 names to look out for, long shots. Grayson Sigg, Ryan Gerard to finish top 30, and Bryce Garnett are 3 long shots Garnett actually has really good course history here. Gerard is playing well on the Corn Ferry, and I think he's got bumped up and hit some boards in some other recent events. And then Grayson Sigg also has good course history here, so that's why I'm going to play those 3.
All right, I looked at just some course history here because I had a couple names down. And again, Wes Reynolds, that's been on the show, does a fantastic job. And, they're long shots, great podcast. Heat Stroke, Brady Cannon, that's been on, great podcast. I went Emilio Grillo, 2nd last year, 100th, 2021, not good, but 3rd. I have him to win.
Had a good showing at the British too.
And I have him to win 2,800 and then plus 600 top 5. And then Matty, I think you said this guy because I was trying to write down a couple of your names. Adam Hadwin, I threw another guy to win. I have him to win also. So I have 2 guys to win. I have Grillo and I have Hadwin on this. Okay, so this guy, I don't know much about this guy, but looking at stats and listening to some of those shows I just threw out and reading some other things. Aaron Rye. Yep. Top 10, man. Strokes gained approach, good drives, driving accuracy. You look at a lot of stats that these guys are saying to look for, man. This guy's in the top of everything. So I took a shot with him, top 10 plus 450 on that. Lucas Glover, man. Everybody loves Lucas Glover this week. Lucas Glover's another one. Pretty good stats on this. If you look, I mean, he's finishing in the top 10 a lot of these tournaments. A lot of people are on him. I did a plus 210 top 20 best bet for the tournament. And then I went back to that. I do have down Eric Cole. I did not bet him, but I do have him down in my notes too on that one. I think that's a good one. I think Jason had him. That Ches Ravi I think I have down in my notes. Last 8, he's made the cut. Good stats in this. I have him at plus 330 top 20 also in this tournament. So that's my card. And I'll put that
I wouldn't fight you on anything.
Yeah, I might have to go with Hadwin as the top Canadian here too, plus 165.
The only one of those guys I don't like, Smittty, is I am not on the Lucas Glover train.
Okay. Well, yeah, a lot of people are. I understand. Adam Hadwin, let me just look at my notes really quick here. Last year, 38th, 2021, 6th, did not play in 2020, and then was 4th in 2019.
Yeah.
So, and he's
Solid.
pretty
He's got
good.
to win this year, too, I believe, already.
And I do, Matt, you said M, right? I think you had M on your card because we threw a lot of names out there for everybody. You pick where you want to play here. I kind of liked him too with that. I had him, but I just didn't put him down on my card. So we'll see if we can bounce back on that. Anything else?
Aaron Rye, plus 650, top Euro.
Man, everyone's on him. I mean, you look at all the stats. I had to look him up to see what the guy even looked like. I'll be honest. I did. I really did. But if you listen to all these shows and you take some of these guys that have been on our show and their golf, expertise a little bit about this, and then you look at the stats, he's in all these stats for this, and it's like, why not? I got to get him on my card somehow on this. So,
but you know what you should do for fun?
What's that, bud?
Take Aaron Rye to be first round leader. You're going to get big money.
That'd be a good
piece of money on. If you like the guy, why not?
I want to get JT on my card somewhere. And I know Brady, listen to the Heat Stroke podcast when I was walking. I wrote today to Brady, and I did it down in Florida too, because I love his podcasts. And I said, heat stroke walking down in Florida, I could have a heat stroke. And today here in Manassas, I could have had a heat stroke, how warm it was on that. And I think he had a JT beating somebody. I think he had it over Grillo, which I have him to win. So that wouldn't be good for me. But he was looking at him just with, I think it was their pizza money play of the day or something like that. It was good odds for JT. I mean, if JT a couple weeks ago, smaller field, not big names, played well. So we'll have to see. But again, it's going to be a guy that I'm really going to follow on the leaderboard where he's at, because Jason has him. I might throw something down on him. Matty thinks no way. So we'll have to see here. So, all right, we got about, 10 more minutes here. The boys wanted to talk some football, and we're about ready to get into football, and we can't wait, man. We really enjoy talking college football and pro football, going into it. The big story down here, it's finally happened, everybody. I'm shocked there wasn't more parades down here. Daniel Snyder finally, the sale went through. Josh Harris, Magic Johnson. I saw Magic Johnson today on Twitter put out, they're on a yacht over in Greece or something. His whole family had Commanders shirts on and everything like that. So whatever, to me, it's like, I'm glad it's happened. It's time that Daniel Snyder's kind of gone away. So let's go with Jason. Matty's the Commanders fan. We'll let him go second here. Jason, are you just glad this is out of the news?
Oh yeah, I mean, that's a marquee franchise. At least it was, and they've been in purgatory now for almost 30 years. It seems like, with this guy who could never get it right, completely disenfranchised the entire fan base. He's so bad that other markets like me feel bad for the DC market. That they had to go put up with all of that. They're still finding stuff on him as he goes out the door about how he didn't pay the NFL, which just doesn't make any sense to me. If you're going to pull that stuff, you don't bite the hand that's feeding you. But just one of the worst owners ever. It's just shockingly how bad he was, considering the means that he had and everything, other businesses that he's run. So it's just nice to have a football team back in Washington. I don't know what they're going to call them. I don't know what they're going to look like. All I know is the first game back, you got to bring back throwback uniforms. You got to bring back every living hog, Joe Theismann, whoever you have. Just bring back the whole family and get it all connected again, and kind of just reconnect with your fan base. Even maybe sell that place out for the first time in 15 years, and just get everybody all excited. Even if you don't have the greatest year, just kind of just say, hey, we're back, and we're actually going to act like a normal franchise. We may not be good, we may not be bad, but we're not going to embarrass you. What do you think, Matty?
So I'm glad it's finally over. And now let's see what they actually do with it. Magic Johnson's everywhere anymore, so I don't know how he got his foot in this door. But so this franchise from 76 to, let's roughly say, 93 was awesome. I mean, they may have had the best home field advantage out of anybody playing in old RFK. I mean, the place actually literally shook. It actually moved They had a band. They had the Hogs. They had cheerleaders. They had, they were pulling from Baltimore. They had like a triple fan base. What they do now, the Ravens have stole fans, obviously, but yeah, they're gonna be back now. How do they market it is a huge thing. Like Jason said, they got to come out firing hot. I do think they need to change the name. I hate the Commanders. I think they're gonna come up with something a little more catchy. We've always said on the show it's probably the Red Wolves, but we'll see about that. They might try to go a little more fancy now with the new regime in. But the problem is they're the fourth best team in the division, and it's not going to go well out of this gate, I don't think, this year. Sam Howell's a little risky at QB. So they have talent. They have great defense, but can they put it all together? And the coach is still a huge question mark. So, Smitty, I love what they did. I'm going to be all for it, and I'm going to be really excited week one.
Where's the hope? Where's the hope? The witch is dead, man.
I'm a realist.
I know. You gotta be pumped for until you're like 1-4.
Man.
No way. I'm a realist.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Time out. If Bob Nutting tomorrow decides he is done with the Pirates, I don't even care who he sells them to. You don't think that me and Smitty are going to be on this podcast doing like the Cotton Eye Joe dance, R&R, like celebrating? Yeah, but after what we've been through, you gotta be like, it doesn't even matter if he's just like average. It's such an improvement. You gotta be excited. Come on, let's see it.
It's been average. That's all we've been is average.
But you haven't had an average owner. They've actually been average with like just an awful owner, and now they actually have a chance.
The owner is only a third of the equation. So,
well, yeah, but that one may have been a little more than that.
It was. I mean, the facilities were trash. You can even see their training camp.
Sewer pipes, man. Sewer pipes were breaking on people.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for it. Hopefully,
you just needed to hear there was possums running around, and we would have been in the same situation as Oakland and everything. So
I just can't. I'm excited that they're new and it's going to kind of reset, but I'm not excited where they sit from a talent standpoint and what they got going on. So it's a double-edged sword.
That's a fair point.
And the thing is, I heard on a show today. They said, what an easy for that guy, Josh Harris, to come into this situation and go like, what can you do wrong, really? People love him. Love him already.
Do the opposite, whatever Snyder did.
I mean, yeah.
Just do the opposite.
They said that's the easiest, just walk-in job and everyone loves you. And then, they had all these like parties and everything, and he called in and bought beer for everybody. And now they love him even more now. I mean, this guy's like, give it a year or two and they suck. Then he might be hated again. But again, right now, this guy's loving life probably. And again, like, I don't know, again, Magic Johnson's a talker. I mean, he always has been. I mean, he is everywhere. So I don't know how he got in. I mean, they needed a little bit of money. Didn't Josh Harris have a little bit of the Steelers?
He did.
He did.
The Steelers are now the testing ground for all future owners for a bunch of teams. They give you a share of the Steelers. You see how it works, and then you get to spend all your money on a real team.
Yeah, there you go. So real quick, we just want to bounce because, again, like I said, we're going to be diving in here. I mean, coming up here in the next, like, maybe 2 weeks, we're going to really start. We like to break down conferences and college football and, NFL. We're going to really be diving in and concentrating. Again, if you're on live watching with us, man, send in questions on teams, and we'll try to do our best to answer NFL or college. Anything else in the NFL, guys? I know you guys were talking about running backs. I mean, that's a position. Elliott, I don't think is on a team yet. Barkley just signed, I think, a 1-year deal. Who's Josh Jacobs left to Vegas, which isn't good. I think he's on 2 of my fantasy teams. What's happening with these running backs, Jason?
It's just reality setting it. I mean, this has been going on now for like a decade, where teams have moved on from guys. I mean, like, basically it all started with Eddie George, right? When he age 30, he was toast, and people started to realize, well, a lot of these running backs are toast by then. And you just hear, I don't understand why people think they deserve so much more money. I mean, they get paid fairly well for the time that they're there. They just don't get that second huge contract. But that's just kind of the rules of engagement, right? Like, you're hearing like PFT, Mike Florio saying that no quarterback should sign until they get their running back their money. What world does he live in? Like, he was like, the agents should collude because they're allowed to, which they are. He was absolutely right. I'm a street lawyer at best, but I know that's true. But so my client as a quarterback is going to pass up $10 million a year, which is 4% less than I want to get so that the running back can sign and tear out his ACL, and then they can play the 5th round draft choice and he can put up the same production. Just reality. I mean, it's a position that you can be good at early, but you know what? You're going to get beat up, and you know you're not going to be that great late. And it's just the reality of the situation. Now, if they figure out some kind of like salary cap exemption that you can pay guys more in their early contract, that makes a lot of sense to me. That's one of the positions you exempt. I would look at all the positions, ones that have the shortest shelf life. Let them get a little more money than the slot that they've set up. Besides that, life's tough sometimes.
I do feel bad for the running backs, though. I think their average salary is less than the kickers now. That's pretty bad. Yeah, that's pretty awful. But that's going to tie into my next point. I think the players' union needs to step in, and they're the weakest they've ever been right now in the NFL. The players' union.
It's true.
Somebody needs to come in and kind of like Jason said, some sort of floor. Something has to be said for these guys. I think going forward, nobody's going to want to play that position. All the kids anymore, like Jason said, my son's not playing football, this and that. I think even more so, I think people are going to say, I'm not playing running back. I just want to be a wide receiver. Or I'm just going to go to a completely different position, and you can play Scotty Jones back there constantly and hand him the ball twice, but we're going to throw it 50 times. So, yeah, I think we couldn't be in for a huge change of overall gameplay if the running back just keeps deteriorating the way it is.
You're going to see more guys like Antonio Gibson, where you kind of half and half. Like you may get some carries, but Deebo Samuel, you're going to see a lot more of that kind of player because they're going to want to be, positioned as wide receivers. So officially, my 12-year-old son retired from football after watching a quarterback series on Netflix. That's he saw enough of those hits and said, "Yeah, I don't want any part of that." So he clearly got somebody's brains in that because
If you play football, you want to be here. Here's my advice to all the people: 3rd string quarterback with a clipboard.
Absolutely.
Pooch punter. Pooch punter.
Just any kicker, because you get to play golf 3 days a week. And, just keep your leg in shape, and like Matt just said, you're making more than the running backs now.
Now we had John Kondo on, former Raider, on. He played.
I saw that gig.
He was a long snapper. He went and played at Maryland. We've had John on, I think, twice. And I remember in college, okay, so real fast story. His dad told my dad one time that John made a comment and said, in college, when you snap, they can't hit you. But he said, man, when you went in the NFL, you can, like, when you they can drill you really fast. And he said, man, what a difference. But yeah, John was a linebacker and was trying to be, and then Maryland one time, and I think did get in games at Maryland at linebacker, and then they were like, hey, we need a long snapper. And I mean, yeah, John Conn, Pro Bowl guy, made a lot of money.
If you're a smaller size guy and you do not have a great deal of athletic ability to play at the next level, my advice to you is to start snapping the ball between your legs. You'd be amazed if you get a decent time who's going to come knocking on your door as a preferred walk-on or something like that, because I remember Penn State's snapper when I was there. It was a buddy of a buddy, and he was smaller than me, but he could snap it. And my brother even got some looks because he could snap the ball. So not a lot of people want to do it, but it is a skill, and it's hard to do. And if you can do it, you'd be surprised where you'd end up.
I'm just glad we like to bet on it. Anything else really quick? We got about 2 minutes before we get out of here. Let's bounce college football really quick. Couple stories came out again. Northwestern's in a mess right now. I did jump on their under. I think it's 3.5. I know Jason was talking on one show. He's like, I don't like their talent. Then the story broke about all this stuff. And again, I'm not saying anyone's guilty, but it's a mess. That's taken away from a lot of preparation, and it's just a headache. And I looked at their schedule and I was like, man, I don't see the wins. Where are the wins? So I took a shot. I'm not going to bring it up here right now, but I did take a under 3.5. Now there's a story that broke really late today about Minnesota. Man, these Big Ten schools, goodness gracious. And again, I'm not PJ Fleck. No one's guilty yet or anything like that. And is this the new trend, guys? Is this the new thing, guys? Former players are going to come out and say things. I mean, maybe it is. We'll have to see. Any thoughts really quick on the Minnesota?
Minnesota seems like it's a little different though. The hazing stuff, when they talked about kind of ordering the hazings and things with Northwestern, that was a bad thing. But it's funny, not a single player has been kicked off the team with that yet. So how long did the hazing occur, and what was really the motivation there? Kind of like you were hinting at. The Minnesota thing does sound like a bunch of players who just really didn't like the program and how it was done, and it kind of just gives you an inside look at PJ Fleck's ego. And just kind of Minnesota kind of a weird program of how they go about their business. But all the stuff that they mentioned in that story that's kind of salacious isn't really that salacious, and I'm sure goes on every single place. But man, like I said, any coach who gets a full plastic surgery on his face, none of that is really shocking that he's going to make you clap when he walks into the room and gets the applause.
When I heard that
My
story,
God. That's a good thing that's a big state, because I don't think his ego would fit in any Northeast state. Holy crap.
Coming into a room and they had to applaud, supposedly, and if he didn't like them applauding and doing the standing ovation, he'd walk out of the room and then come back in and they'd have to do it again.
You're doing reps of clapping.
And
it takes a lot for a good coach to get Western Michigan good for one season, so you can see why he deserves a lot of clapping.
I really liked him too. I mean, again, nothing. We don't know any of this. Whatever is going to come out. I mean, really seemed like a positive guy and everything. And I think it's craziness in a lot of college places. But this story might get really good. I mean, it really might get really good here. So we'll have to see. And then the last one, really fast before we get out of here. Colorado sounds like they're going to have a meeting tomorrow, and they're going to go back to the Big 12. They're going to leave the Pac-12, which it seems like a lot of people are leaving the Pac-12. So any quick thoughts on that, guys?
Smitty, I think real quick, Smitty, I think you got to go back to Fleck though. That's like narcissism 101. That's if we're gonna use the wrestling to finish up here tonight. That's Mr. Perfect right there, man.
Absolutely, from Minnesota.
Oh yeah, come on.
The narcissist Lex Luger.
I want to touch. Yeah,
they go around with a mirror. He's looking in a mirror and everything, flexing.
God, what a man.
Colorado is the first one to fall, so you're going to probably the rest of those schools are going to come with it too. I don't understand how the Pac-12 doesn't work, given the fact that it has that late TV hour, and everybody gambling now is watching those games late, and it seems like places you want to go to school with the weather and everything else. So, man, after that conference has crumbled. That was definitely not one I'd expect to crumble. The Big 12 I thought would fall apart, and they've got some good leadership because they're pulling it together. They've survived, and now they're starting to get stronger. So they pull in Oregon and Washington. Those are two higher revenue schools. That's a pretty good conference, and they can do some things with the scheduling to kind of give themselves a good little platform, like 16 teams that are really – none of them are bad.
You know who the Big 12 needs to pull back in? They need to go full old school. They need to get Nebraska back.
I've heard Missouri as well.
That'd be awesome. I mean, I actually think that would help Nebraska out. Like, Nebraska's like a lost kid in the Big Ten. Nobody cares.
Yep, I agree. Great
you
point.
get Oregon and Washington with Nebraska. That's three really good gets. That gives that conference a lot of strength, and they're at least better than the ACC at that point, and they're going to survive. And all those schools are going to be able to kind of compete and be legitimate.
Yeah,
great point.
Yeah,
I love
Pac-12 may be ways of independence coming soon.
Love all those schools.
Oregon State and Washington State are going to have a really hard time because, they actually might line up better because they have Mountain West size budgets. So they might be just more competitive because they won't have to be at their tippy toes on all these football budgets like they have been for the last 20 years.
All right, last real fast. Major League Baseball, just a quick update. Cubbies are down 2-0. Matty was Lance Lynn. He's dealing right now. It's only in the second, but it's 2-0 here, so we'll see what happens.
Trying to get to L.A.
Cubs do have a couple guys on. Yeah, he's trying to get out of there real quick. That's a good thing. And the Astros are up 3-0 already on Texas, so they jumped on them really fast. Go Braves. That was my best bet I gave out today. So, hey, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in this week. Again, we're going to be back next week. Put on Twitter, man, fire some football stuff at us. Again, watch us live, do some shows. And again, I say this, follow all the shows here at Wild Style Network, man. Stand Up and Shout, Tribe Called Jess. Until next week, man, we'll see you. Bang your bookie.
Thanks for listening to the Notebook Wagering Podcast. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss any episodes, and be sure to follow @Notebook Wagering. Until next time.
Matty, can you hear me? Nope. Okay, I was just going to tell him bye.